Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
I'm sitting here with my high school English teacher, who was also the woman who made it possible that I end up in the United States because she made me fall in love with the English language.
I'm really happy to hear it.
And I never forget the times that you brought in the cassette player, playing Beatles, and teaching us English that way. And the one that was kind of like pivotal for me is the time that you created this incredible program where we were mimicking MTV. And we had this huge school celebration where I was the VJ, pretending to be an MTV VJ.
That was the foreign language party or something like that.
The foreign language party, exactly. So you've been a teacher for how long?
For 37 years now.
37 years. What drives you? What keeps you going?
Well, when I was about 16 years old, when I decided I would like to do something with languages because I really loved Russian. And as a second language, I started to learn English in this high school. And I decided to be an interpreter or something like this, or a guide. But at that time, it was only possible after doing a degree as a teacher. So go to teachers training college. And after my first lesson, I had to do it in practice in Eger. I got hooked because I really loved that atmosphere and all the kids around me, and my lesson was a great success. So that was the moment that I decided that that's my place. So I would like to be a teacher.
You've been one of the most creative teachers that I have ever studied with. And what brings you that creativity? How do you come up with the ideas on what modalities to use in class?
Well, if you ask me about today, I would say we have got AI and a lot of internet sites where you can read about different activities. But of course, back in 1988 or 89, we didn't have any possibility to do this. So I really had to rely on my creativity. And as a young teacher, I was really intent to draw my students' attention on my subject. And I think after the changing of the political regime, so, Russian was a compulsory language for quite a long time. And when English became, so another language became possible to learn, then everybody was really, really interested and curious about it. So I had a really easy job because we were surrounded by hits and films and a lot of things that sounded and looked like magic for young people at that time. So I think it was really motivating for them. When, as you mentioned, I took the cassette player or just showed something that was in English. So I had an easy job. I really wanted to make my students love me and my language. So maybe this is what you could see, that I did everything. And I was really fresh and young and full of energy at that time. So I wouldn't say the same now. So I'm a lot older. And of course, internet is everywhere, so if kids want to listen to music or get the lyrics, that's really easily accessible for everybody. So it's really, really hard now to motivate them. Even if they know that they must know English, so this is a basic, so they cannot do anything without this knowledge. But it's not really the purpose, the aim for them. It's just a tool to gain their aims. So it's much harder these days. Yeah.
So let's go back in time.
Okay.
32 years, actually 36 years, because that's where you became my teacher.
Yes, I guess so.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's 36 years.
These are my students.
Oh, hello. Her students are just walking by.
Yeah.
Hi.
She's my ex-student and she lives in the USA. Would you like to talk to her?
Would you like to?
Few sentences?
Do you want to come around and be on camera? How do you guys feel about it?
So guess what? I met her 32 years ago. For the last 36 years ago, sorry. And now she's back here. And we are talking about school, so you can join. Do you like English?
Yes. I don't want to join.
You don't want to join? I respect that. Do you want to join, young man?
We need to do a project.
Okay,
You need to
doing
do a project. That's great. How about you, young man? That's okay, and I respect that.
What is your project about?
Grammar exam.
Grammar exam.
Wow,
Oh,
you guys got to study.
So you're busy.
hard.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Enjoy
I'm
your day.
very impressed with all of your English. Every single, and I'm not surprised. I'm absolutely not surprised. Good luck, guys. Good luck. Here's to the future.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
You're really cute.
Oh my God, how old are they?
Class, 13, 14.
Oh, so right around the time we came to you,
Yeah.
14. So let's go back again, 36 years ago. You took over the group of how many of us were there? Like 23?
No,
30?
more
More
than
than that.
about 30.
What do you remember the most about our class? Who do you remember the most? What was your impression, if you can go that far back? 36 years, that's a long time. Or even through that 4-year period, because we used to go on these excursions that you took us on. And tell me,
Yeah.
how did you live through it?
So that was really new for me too, not just for you, because that was at the beginning of my career. So I didn't even know what to do. I remember things that I had some problems with you as teenagers, and when I complained about it to the parents, they said, okay, that's teenage, so you should get used to. We have the same problems with them at home. So that was it. So later on I learned how to handle this, especially after my kids were born, so I got used to it. I remember your class was a really good class, so really talented students. I remember I could do everything with you because you were eager to take part in like the competition and of course excursions, and we had parties, but I especially remember you not because of the competition.
Oh, I actually paid her. I paid her to say that. No, I didn't.
Because all the other students were beginners in English, and I remember that you had already learned English back in Romania. Transylvania.
What I did was actually I learned through translating lyrics of Depeche Mode. That was my favorite band, and I do remember my mom putting me through maybe like 3 months of English with a local teacher in the village. So I always had an affinity to the language, but then I spent, a whole summer translating lyrics, and then I ended up here in Hungary because I'm an immigrant myself from Romania, Transylvania, and again it was such a challenge to get accepted to any high school because of my immigrant status. And Nagy András, who was the headmaster, the math teacher, I fucking hated math, but he really wanted to help us, and he accepted me into the high school, and I ended up being in your class. So you remember me as...
Yeah, and I really remember that you were so frank, so sincere, looking into my eye, which was really, really rare at that time, because teenagers are really shy and embarrassed, so they just trying to look away. And I remember you were so pure, so sincere, and I really loved your pronunciation, maybe due to the Depeche Mode songs that you maybe sang a lot, sang along with them. Because I did the same with the Beatles, of course, a generation older. And I remember when I went to my first language exam that they said that my pronunciation is so good because I always sang and I always did something with English, so I was really motivated. So I remember that you were much better in English than the others, so that's why I started to follow your improvement. And that's why I ask you to be the speaker or the hostess,
the VJ for that
MTV
school presentation for MTV.
And you did it really, really well. Do you have this video shot about it?
I don't have anything tangible, but I have incredible memories because up until that point, you remember what age group we were at that time? Were we like 15, 16?
15, 16, yeah.
So I remember feeling so invisible in school because again, I was an immigrant and I only had, I think, like 1 or 2 friends, Gajik Andra being one of them. This is for her. And I remember when we did that presentation on stage. Again, until then I was invisible, and all of a sudden I gained this popularity with the boys because I was the VJ.
That's the girl.
And that's the girl. So all of a sudden, all these guys who I had a crush on and they wouldn't give me the time of the day, they're coming to me and they're coming to me. So thanks to you for that.
Okay.
Not that it led me anywhere, and if anything, it led me down, deep down. But it was kind of like a good
but
thing.
That must have been a good feeling to be so popular at that age.
It was really, really, exactly. It was really a good feeling, and I felt like it was encouraging me to come out of my shell because I had my own trauma at home with a stepfather and all that, and being seen through that project that you put together was life-changing for me. Yeah. So let's talk.
I'm really happy to it.
Yeah, and I'm forever, eternally grateful to you, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have written 2 books in English and published those books, and I don't think I would have ever made it to LA and be able to speak.
I laid the first bricks, but of course, what came after that was your talent and your hard work.
And it's really, it makes my heart so happy to know that you're not only doing it with me, but you've been doing it for years with thousands.
I've been trying to.
Thousands of other students. This is the next one, and I know it's kind of like a very sensitive subject because you as a teacher, your hands are a little bit tied still with what you can say and how much you can say. So I leave it up to you. But I'm really curious to know about the last 16 years of your life, how it's been, and of course there is a regime change currently in Hungary as we're speaking, because we are right after the election where Tisza won. Tell me what your experience has been like for these 16 years, however much you can say as a teacher.
With the appearance of Fidesz, a lot of different compulsory programs came. So, as the head teacher said, in the morning they got a phone call that by 12 o'clock we need 120 students for this performance, or we need 200 students to watch this movie. And of course they were some centralized events that they had to listen to, and that meant that we couldn't have our lessons, so they missed the lessons. And that happened many times during a school year.
May I ask you, you said that they had to watch specific movies and they had to do like compulsory, whatever it was. What were the movies about?
Well, it was different. Sometimes it was about some kind of a political problem. Sometimes it was about history, so at around some historical events.
Or based on Fidesz, right? The way they saw it.
Or sometimes it was just made by some Fidesz close filming company, and they had to have the numbers.
So they literally took the kids out of school, so and it was mandated that they had to be present for that. This actually reminds me of how I grew up under communist Romania, Ceausescu, and they would take us. They would take us from school, stick us into like a movie theater, and we would have to watch these patriotic movies, and we all knew that it was not true what we were seeing, because we were actually living the sad reality of, you know, what communism looks like under a dictator. Wow, that's I didn't know that. I kind of missed that.
There are even more interesting things. So
whatever you can talk about.
So the whole education became really centralized. So before that, the town mayor had the right to give money to schools, and we got a lot more money from the government. But after Fidesz won, those towns who were not Fidesz supporters got a lot less money for the town hall. And then later on, this clique, I don't know whether you've heard about it, these educational centers appeared. And
what are they called in Hungarian?
Clique.
Clique.
And they were the centers of different schools. So that meant that they got an amount of money. And when we needed some money, we had to give a paper, so a letter for asking for chalks or for chartboards or papers or anything. and they waited for weeks or sometimes for months to decide whether to give money or not to give money, or how much to give. So for years, we and the parents had to bring papers for photocopying, or I bought my flip chart pens myself because I didn't get any money for that. So we got a lot less money than before.
And that's because some of you were not Fidesz supporters,
Yes.
so they would withdraw the funds.
Of course. Yeah.
Wow.
Of course.
So you became very resourceful as you are supplying yourself.
Yeah. Or if something went wrong in the school, maybe the pipes or electricity, then again they had to write a letter for asking for some repairmen. Then they asked for 3 different repairmen for
A quote?
Yes, so how much
quote,
they
yeah.
asked for it, and they chose the least expensive one. And of course, it took a lot of
long time.
So
Yeah.
sometimes we had one toilet closed for months because we didn't get any plumber
For months.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
What
now-
are your hopes for the new government, the new prime
Well,
minister?
Yeah, I haven't mentioned that there were publishers which were forbidden because they
What
were
do you mean?
against. So those who published textbooks and school books, and they were forbidden. So we couldn't choose their books that were really good.
So there
books.
was a list that
Yes.
had forbidden
Yeah.
school material.
Yes.
Can you name a few for me? Do you remember anyone?
Well, Mosaic, I remember. We really loved
Mosaic.
Mosaic. That's a publisher in Szeged, and we couldn't buy the books any longer. But we asked the books back to the library, and then we gave it to the next. So we used them for generations. So
So
the
you
kids were-
found a way to get the books
Yeah.
back, the ones that
so
were
the-
forbidden.
Yeah, so the government made school books free. That was really a good way. But they
centralized the books.
centralized, so they said that we can only buy the books that they advise us to do. And a history teachers complained that there are a lot of
Errors.
unfair and not true facts in the history books.
Can you give me one example?
No, I don't know.
You don't
I don't know.
remember? Okay.
I'm not a history teacher.
Yeah.
They just said that it's impossible to teach from the book. And
From the book that the
Yeah.
government mandated that you
No.
guys teach from.
and I also experienced it with my younger kid because he had a Hungarian literature book that I could not understand. I had to read 3 times, and then I made a short sketch, and my son learned the sketch after I made it easier because that was just impossible to understand. And we had no other choice. Actually, I was really lucky because we had
Hey, buddy. Our favorite subject. We got a little dog here. Can I pick the dog up for a second? Felvehettem a kutyust? Gyere, gyermek. Hogy
making a
hívják?
video.
Hogy hívják? Nudli. Gyereke. This is Nudli. Just crashed our video shoot. Oh, you're wonderful. Köszönjük szépen. Okay.
Köszönjük. So now what I hope is decentralization will disappear, and we've got some promises in connection with it from our Prime Minister to be, Mr. Magyar, that we can choose whatever we. So the freedom for teachers will be present again. So hopefully that's also true, and we hope that the amount of the material won't be as vast as it is today, because that's impossible to learn. So the students are really overburdened. Just guess they go home at 3 and 4 o'clock. So they've got so many lessons, and some of them just commute from other villages.
Yeah, I was a commuter too. I remember getting up at
So by the
6 o'clock.
time they get home, they are terribly tired, and they have to prepare for 6, 7, 8, even 9 lessons. So there are classes who have 9 lessons one day. So that's incredible. So
Why-
I hope it will be a little bit easier for them.
Why do you think that was set up like that? That they are completely overburdened? You think it's something to do with
I
they
have
don't
no
think,
idea.
they don't resist, they're too tired?
I have no idea. This factual knowledge is really important for this government, as I
The
can
previous
see.
one, yeah.
Yeah, so factual, so that you sit down and cram for the exam.
Factual.
For the factual.
Factual.
Yeah. So you learn everything that is written in the book, and you are just like a computer headed somebody. You just recite it. but no thinking, no creative thinking at all. And this is what I would like to see again. So that would be really nice.
So what I hear you say, basically, to create robots,
yeah,
who no longer
exactly.
think for themselves.
Yeah, this
hear
is good
that.
for them, because if we don't think, then we will be just like a flock of sheep, or how you say
flock
that?
of sheep. Yeah.
Flock of sheep, and just nodding with their heads and doing whatever they ask us to do. And I remember one more thing, maybe you've heard about it, there's 5 PE lessons a week. 5 PE lessons, because they want us to be really fit and strong and healthy. And they introduced it 3 years ago, as far as I remember.
So it was mandatory.
Mandatory. So if a kid doesn't do a sport that has got a certificate about, so by the sports clubs, they have to do 2 additional PE lessons. So the ordinary is 3 a week, but if they don't do any sport, they will have 2 more. That means 5 PE lessons, but we have got only 2 places to do, gym and the Keep Fit room, and just we have got 600 students, so just multiplied by 5, so that means so many lessons, and there's no place where they could do that. So sometimes it happened that the PE teacher took them for a walk because there was no place where to go. Or in the cellar, in the club, if you remember, we had the student club.
Yes,
we have got table tennis.
Basement, in the basement.
Tables,
Yeah, that's
yes,
great.
so they play table tennis. So this is one possibility.
So they converted the basement where we used to have school parties and concerts and
it's
made out of the, like wildflowers, and we had the romance there. So now it's converted to like a sports
room.
gymnasium or something.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
did see students outside at the Margate Island
in good weather
exercising.
they go there still. That's a much better solution, because there are different tracks or pitches, so they can do different sports at the same time. And
so your husband, who is a PE teacher, and he's a tough guy, Bartókiné. So he was over
now. Not as tough.
Well, you
He's really
softened him probably. You did a good
job.
job.
And the circumstances, because he realized that not everybody is a top sportsman, and it's more important for them to love moving and doing exercise than to achieve a really high score.
I have a lot of respect for him, because his focus was so spot on, and he really wanted to make sure that we show up for those classes.
There are some kids who come up to him at the end of the school 4 years, and they thank him for being active.
I wasn't one of them. I was always trying to be exempt from running. I never liked running, and then before you know it, when I moved to LA, I ended up running like 5-6 miles every 2 days, and I was like, wow, if Bartókiné tanár úr would see what I'm doing, he would be very proud. But I just hated running here, and I would always want to get exempt.
Yeah, but there comes a time when we realize that it's for ourselves.
It's for ourselves,
Okay, and one more thing. So this rule or a law has became really perfect by the beginning of this oncoming school year, when the government decided that, for example, folk dance.
The Fidesz Orbán, the Orbán government.
So folk dance doesn't count. So if somebody does a folk dance, that's nothing. If you just go to the gym, that doesn't mean anything. You just have to do it as so you have
prescribed by the government.
Yes, it resulted in students not doing anything after this, because those who loved folk dancing, they had to do these 5 lessons, but they got so tired because these 2 additional lessons were at the end of the day. So they got so tired that they refused to go folk dancing after that. They stayed at home because they had to learn and relax. And after these normal PE lessons, they didn't feel like doing anything additional that they really would have liked. So that's a shame.
That really surprises me, that folk dance, magyar néptánc, which is a beautiful traditional dance.
And we have got a really nice folk dance group here in town. So basically half of the kids do folk dancing.
Wow.
And I think this is like a sport. So
it really is.
Put
It's
a
very
lot of
physical.
energy in it, So I didn't really understand it. So we do hope that it will change somehow.
And for you personally, because we talked about, so far we talked about you and the capacity as a teacher. For you personally, as a human, as an incredible soul, what is your hope for the future?
Well, as a teacher, I do hope for freedom, that we can do a lot of things that we couldn't do. As a child, I would like to see that my mom and my mother-in-law get a reasonable pension, because now they have to decide whether to buy the medicine or to heat up their house. So especially my mother-in-law, who just heats one room in the winter, and they have got a lot of really nice paintings, because my father-in-law was an artist, and it was molded because of the cold.
Humidity and the cold.
So that was terrible to see, and we couldn't really help because our salary wasn't that high either. As a mom, I would like that my grandchildren grow up in a freer society, and maybe that my son would have enough money to buy a house with a garden, because now they live in a small apartment. And as for my other kids, my daughter lives in the Netherlands, and I'm sure that they won't, but I still hope that they will move back, they will return. So I never know, but
you mentioned about your the seniors in the family. What's healthcare like? Or what was healthcare like under the Fidesz government?
Well, it's terrible. My mom had breast cancer, and she was in one of the best hospitals in Budapest. So it looked like it was built in the 1950s or renovated for the last time in the 1950s, as if war struck it or something. So,
and the medical care itself is...
we have got really, really long waiting lists.
For surgeries,
and even for appointments. So I've been to the rheumatician. I had to wait 2 months now. I was there yesterday, and I asked for the appointment in February. So it took 2 months for me, but for major operations, it can take 2 or even 3 years to get an appointment. So the problem will disappear by that time, or the patient will disappear.
Oh, the patient, the problem.
So I hope it will change. Actually, the government wanted to improve the previous government. Still ongoing.
They're still in power. 2 more weeks.
And they wanted private health care to improve, and they invested as much as they could in it. So they didn't really invest too much, just the minimum in a normal health care. But I think those who work there are still really enthusiastic, most of them, but they are really overburdened, and they work for really, really little money, especially nurses. Now we can say that the salary of the doctors is quite okay, but they took these steps after half of the doctors just left the country. Yeah.
Oh, they left the country?
Left the country, yeah. Every country was happy to have these doctors, but now we lack of them, so it's really a shame. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for
and
my life.
And I was really happy to see you and to have this interview.
Thank you for my life.
Thank you. It was so nice to see you again, live.
After 32 years.
Yeah, that was great.
You.
Yeah, thank you.
Too.